to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline, live in the BP TV studio. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Thanks for watching our show. I got Chip Hayner with me. Smoking Jim Frazier's here. Got a lot of sports to talk about. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 from Nemacolin to Cranberry Wexford. Devin, while you're here, our screen's not on. All right, thank you, sir. This is live TV, folks, so we have a little aberration and some technical difficulties, but we're working through it. And Facebook page, we hit a brand new high of 6,620 likes. So thank you very much for watching our shows and liking our page. We appreciate that. And always see people out there saying they see our show and watch us, and good stuff like that keeps going on. Well, we have a sponsor for the beginning of our show, What's on Your Mind? That's by Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station. And anything that runs on gas, he works on it. You name it. I saw him there working on some trucks, worked on my car, got me an oil change. So I was there Monday, had the smorgasbord like he has Smoking Jim, you know. His buddy goes to Bethel Bakery, gets some donuts. It's 1 mile from my house, but I travel 7 miles to get a donut. So, and they're very good. And he sponsors What's on Your Mind, and we're going to do that in a minute after I show my little promos that I have. First one up is Olive Oil's Pizzeria. They sponsor our show with a pizza. You'll see or hear, maybe you'll hear Smoking Jim. He's mic'd up, chomping on that pizza and hoagie. I hope so. 412-831-1900. It was a little slow there tonight. So give them a call. Say Al Levine, the Talking Machine, said give them a call. 412-831-1900. So check it out. Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. Yeah, oh, wait, I skipped one. All right, we'll go to Uncle Sam wants you, and Uncle Al wants you for BPTV. I shouldn't have adjusted my sheets here. Look at that. My face is transposed on Uncle Sam. I want you for BPTV. We got Devin Shea running everything tonight. Cameras, control room, you name it, sound. How to get the white balance here before Smoking Jim talks race. So we got that straightened out.
What, the Daytona 500? You're going to talk about the Daytona 500?
We might. We might. Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. That's what I was trying to talk about. We want you at BPTV was in between. So they have money from $100 to $5,000 for your group in Bethel Park. Apply to bpcf.org. Get some money. Come on. Another little promo. Bethel Park Historical Society has the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center right there on South Park Road. You can see as you're driving by one way or the other, there's a trolley there. And that goes back a lot of years. They had it reconditioned. The schoolhouse, they put 5,000 windows in. Got different businesses that rent it out, so it's been remodeled and it's in business. Check it out. They're a 501c3, Bethel Park Historical Society. We end each show with Stay Joey Strong. There's a photo of Joey before DIPG and then after DIPG, and he only made it to 9 years old. This brain cancer is like a death sentence. Kids that are diagnosed have less than a year to live, and it's just a terrible disease. You can donate money to him. The girls basketball team did a donation for him just recently, Bethel Park High School, so kudos to them. Check out the website, Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, and donate some money. Hey, before I go, Skeet Service Station, 724-348-4715. Give them a call to work on your car. You too, Smoking Jim. You got that new ride. How's that going in this winter weather?
So good.
What is it? What do you got?
Chevy Lumen, where I got? Impala.
Impala.
Chevy Impala.
I'm glad you're driving the car and you don't know what it is. Well, I got to ask you, Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Coming at you.
you got to see Levine. I had to make a football move, man, before I give it back.
Oh, yeah, but did you survive the ground?
There you go.
Was that really a catch?
You can take that one in instant replay, man.
We're going to do it again. Show that again.
Whether they say yes or no, it goes down as a catch in my book. But what's on my mind is Saturday I went to see the Gateway Gators.
Is that your alma mater?
Yeah, 5A school take on the big time 6A school, North Allegheny Tigers, and Gateway beat the brakes off of them. And ran into our good friend of the show, DJ Dinkins,
Get out.
whose son plays for North Allegheny, and he got a little hacker shack going on like his daddy, but he's a good athlete, man. He can run up and down the court. He looked like a football player playing basketball. But DJ also said his daughter got a full scholarship, I believe, to Toledo, volleyball player. So the rich get richer, and DJ looked at a place sitting on the North Allegheny side.
Did he really?
I think he's the only black guy on the North Allegheny
Got the race
side.
card out early, folks. We were holding back a little
But
tonight.
congratulations to my neighbor, Mark Borkovich. Him and his brother. He got 4 brothers, and in my backyard, I built. 7 years ago when I moved there, I built a basketball court in the backyard.
Who uses it?
For my nephews and my godkids, and I was going to tear it down a couple years ago, and the dad asked me to, because the boys, their sons are always playing in there. I got white neighbors,
What color?
And yeah, so I said, yeah, sure. I didn't pay.
What
no
about the
attention to it.
godchildren?
No, they don't come over as much, and
Well, there's nobody cooking for them. That's the problem.
man. That's the thing. So the neighbor and him and one of his brothers or somebody, they came in and installed a brand new hoop and backboard and everything.
You're kidding.
That adjusts up and down. And a couple years ago, I went to watch their oldest son play. He was captain of the team, great player. Ended up going to Waynesburg, and this other one made 7 3-point shots as a starter. And the dad gives all the credit. Of course, I accept all the credit because of the hoops. The dad wasn't an athlete.
Wasn't.
The mom wasn't an athlete. And this just goes to prove that you can make yourself an athlete. You make yourself a good player if you put in the time. And they're out there every day, 365 days a year. If it's snowing, they're shoveling off the hoop court to shoot.
And did they brush the snow off your recliner that's right next to the court?
Well, my house is not real close to the hoop court. It's at the end of my backyard, but they're always out there. They're playing, and the 2 youngest ones, the ones are at 8th grade and 5th grade, they'll probably be the best of the whole bunch. So,
Really?
And I just found out because I sat with the mom at the game.
Wow.
Wow, good looking lady. I tell you that. Yeah, the dad wasn't there, man. So I sat by her mom.
Where's the photo at?
Didn't want to sit by herself, but she's a great looking lady, and she said that her husband built a recording studio inside their home. So who knows? Maybe I might go in there and make some tunes for the show, man. But that's what's on my mind. The Borkoviches, 7 3-pointers in one game, 23 points total. Congratulations.
Thanks, Smoking Jim Frazier. I'm glad we covered what's on your mind. Chip Painter, what's on your mind?
Well, thank you, Alan. A couple of things on my mind. First being tomorrow is the first day that pitchers and catchers practice. Pirates spring training is breaking out, and I will take a lot of ridicule and I will take a lot of scorn for this. And all I got to tell anybody is just go ahead and bring it. But I am very much looking forward to this season with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think it's going to be a very interesting season to see how this team develops. And I think they're going to exceed people's expectations because people's expectations are absolutely nothing for this team right now. They have nothing but scorn and disdain for the team.
What's
which is,
Las Vegas have, 67 over or under?
No, I believe 76 wins.
Okay.
It was the over and under.
Give me the under that.
You know, so, hey, you know what? I am not going to allow people and their negative opinions to affect
Jim.
my love for the game of baseball or the passion that I have for the Pittsburgh Pirates. That will always remain true, and I am very much looking forward to my enjoying my season tickets this year and watching a new Bucco team develop and see what happens. There are no guarantees, but I'm going to enjoy the ride. So it's first thing on my mind.
Gregory Polanco looking good. He's working hard.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But you know what? We'll discuss more about the Pirates later because there's really not much to discuss about now. Give them a couple of weeks of spring training. We'll get an idea of how people are performing, what the positions are going to be fielded by, and what the batting order is going to look like. But I'll be paying attention to that. Most people won't, but I will. So the next thing that's on my mind is last Tuesday night. You know, while my dear friend Jim Frazier, my dear friend Alan Levine, the Talking Machine, while we were doing our show, there happened to be quite the ruckus at the Clareton-Monessen basketball game at Clareton High School. Okay, so now the WPIAL, WPIAL has decided on punishments for these two schools, and people seem to think that the punishments were harsh. Okay, I would have to tend to disagree to one aspect of that, and I don't think that they went far enough. Both teams are now on probation for 5 years. If these two teams advance in the playoffs and ultimately end up playing one another, they will play in front of a bunch of empty seats, almost like a pit game. But here's where the problem that I have with the way things happened. Okay? There's a bench clearing brawl. The fans empty out onto the floor. The parents, the kids, everybody's involved. And, you know, the way that they punish these two teams is to allow them to play in the playoffs this spring. I think that both teams should have been eliminated from the playoffs and not be allowed to advance and not be rewarded for their bad behavior. Yes, they came down with sanctions against them, and there's all these different, stipulations that they have to follow and everything. But at the end of the day, what did we have? We slapped them on the wrist, and we're letting them go ahead and continue to play. What kind of example does this set for young athletes that, hey, you can act like complete animals and attack one another on the court. Your parents can jump in too, and there's really no repercussions. I don't think they went far enough with the sanctions against them. I think they should have gone further. And that's it. That's what's on my mind. I don't know if either of you want to add anything to that, but subject's open for debate.
Thanks, Chip. I appreciate it. There's always a lot of controversy when you have different teams together, and basketball courts, they don't have a lot of space. So somebody could be on the floor as a parent, because I heard conflicting stories that some parents were trying to pull their kids away because other adults and people were hitting them. So you had parents from both sides trying to get kids to safety and away from it, and you had other people fighting.
It was a melee.
So, it was a mob action there. It's tough to go through. That's why City League games, they don't have any fans at the games. My dad used to referee City League championships, 5th and Shenley, and I got to witness that. I think I was the only white person there at the scorer's table. But those things happen.
I'm just proud they made the national news. I mean, we don't get any national exposure for basketball anymore. They made the national news. Congratulations, Monessen and Clareton.
And as usual, fans of Smoking Jim Frazier, he goes to the negative or the dark side on this. He went to the dark side, so that's all I can add to it, Chip. But I appreciate your thoughts.
Nobody got hurt.
I think
yes, they did. There was blood.
I think they came down hard. I just don't think hard enough.
Understood.
Slap on the wrist would have been enough.
Hey, what's on my mind is we'll talk Penguins later on, but Sidney Crosby's been trying for his 400th goal for like 11 games. We come through the other day. It was great seeing it. Got his goal, got them off the thing, and then he got a second goal. So he's at 401. He already got started towards 500th goal. So it's one of the faster players doing it. So it was an honor to see him.
The 25th player in NHL history to score 400 goals.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's it, buddy. They've been playing hockey a while. But it was nice to see that. The Pens are in second place right now. We'll talk Penguin talk a little later on. So they're also not far out from missing the playoffs. So Chip and I have talked about that. We'll talk some more in a little bit. But we're going to come back with some fiction and fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore. It's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, you know, but right here is everything she needs in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks, like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here. Like, it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and, you know, let Dave be your guide.
I said stay.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, Chip Hayner, Devin Shea, and is the Rookie of the Year back there?
He's not here.
No.
Not here, okay.
School
Hey.
took precedence.
I'm sure he's watching on TV.
He's enlightening himself.
All right, I'm sure, hope the Rookie of the Year feels better.
No, he feels great. It's just he had a lot of work to do. He has to go to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unlike you, he has to read
He actually
comprehend.
has to get good grades to get a degree.
Okay.
He doesn't have to show up and play ball.
Okay, that is a difference. But fiction and fact.
And he is okay.
Fiction and fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac goes back to 1994. I traveled down to Tennessee to see a rookie quarterback who had a bye week, freshman quarterback, and at that time, the University of Tennessee had their dormitories, meal tickets, workout facilities, everything. They lived in the stadium. So I go in the stadium and I see this super white guy.
You're kidding.
And with a big head, thin, tall,
That huge forehead.
huge forehead, whipping everybody with tearing everybody's tails up with the towel, and like a big kid in the locker room. And his name was Peyton Manning. And then I hear that Steve Air McNair, who is who was the third in the Heisman voting from a little Elkhorn State, was also playing football in Tennessee. So I drove to the game, and Aaron McNair was off the chain. He was every bit as great as they said he was. He passed for close to 700 yards, 8 touchdowns, ran for 150 yards and 2 more touchdowns. Threw his little brother out of the game, a wide receiver, because he wasn't hustling enough. And he was ruling with an iron fist, and I kept going around the stadium. I'm like, who's number 80 for the other team? And they're like, who cares? You see what Aaron McNair is doing. You know, look at the bands at halftime. Watch the bands. I'm like, who's number 80? Number 80 was this junior wide receiver. I wrote to everybody in the National Football League. I said, this guy is going to be a great, great player. They all ignored me. The only reason he was drafted is because the team that drafted him didn't need him. They already had a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and they had a first-round draft pick that they had got a few years earlier in J.J. Stokes. And he came on and started almost immediately. And now he's the second all-time leading receiver in NFL history, and he's going to the Hall of Fame. Back then, his name was Terrell Owens. Now he goes by T.O. Congratulations to the Hall of Fame, T.O. You're a great, great player. Very humble in college. That all changed in the NFL with the NFL money, but his work ethic is one of the main reasons why he made it to the Hall of Fame.
Great, great player. Got to give him that. Lousy teammate.
And that's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Chip's Trivia. I am going to continue my thread to honor Black History Month. Okay? And what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about some of the rich baseball heritage that the city of Pittsburgh has known since 1888, I believe.
The black boys can play baseball.
When the Pirates
I think 1887.
started playing. Okay, 1887. I'd like to talk about 2 of the more popular Negro teams in the Pittsburgh area. First, I will talk about the Homestead Grays, probably the more famous of the 2. They were in existence from 1900 until 1950. The team was founded in 1912 by Cumberland Posey and remained in continuous operation for 38 seasons. The team was originally based in Homestead, adjacent to Pittsburgh, but by the 1920s, with increasing popularity in the Pittsburgh region, the team retained the name Homestead but crossed the Monongahela River to play all home games in Pittsburgh at the Pittsburgh Pirates' home, Forbes Field, and the Pittsburgh Crawfords' home, Greenleaf Field.
Wow.
From 1940 until 1942, the Grays played half their home games in Washington, D.C., while remaining in Pittsburgh for all other homestands. As attendance at their games in the nation's capital grew, by 1943, the Grays were playing more than 2/3 of their home games in Washington.
Didn't know that.
I didn't know
I
that.
did not know this. I found that interesting. The Grays grew out of an earlier industrial team. In 1900, a group of African-American players joined together to form the Germantown Blue Ribbons. An industrial league team. For 10 years, the Blue Ribbons fielded a team every season and played some of the best sandlot teams in the area. In 1910, the managers of the team retired. The players reorganized the team and named themselves the Murdoch Grays. Wow. In 1912, they became the Homestead Grays, the name they retained for the remainder of the franchise's history. The Grays did join the American Negro League in 1929, but that league lasted only 1 season. The team operated independently again until 1932, when Posey organized the ill-fated East-West League. That league also collapsed before completing its first and only season. Posey entered his Grays in the Negro National League in 1935. With the near collapse of the Pittsburgh Crawfords, Josh Gibson returned to the Grays in 1937, combining with slugger Buck Leonard to power the Grays to 9 consecutive and a total of 10 Negro National League championships and 3 Negro League World Series titles.
Wow.
Vic Harris managed the Grays during their years in league play between 1935 and 48 and piloted Homestead to 8 pennants. He guided his team to 6 consecutive pennants from 1937 through 1942, in 1945 and 1948, and led the 1948 team to the Negro League World Series
We buried the
championships.
N-word.
The 1943 and 1944 Negro League World Series titles came under Candy Jim Taylor. Here's an interesting piece for you, Jim. Art Rooney, Pittsburgh Steelers founder and owner. Art Rooney related in a 1981 interview that from time to time he had helped financially support the Negro League team, the Homestead Grays, and was a better baseball fan than a football fan. So, quite a number of members of the National Baseball Hall of Fame played with the Homestead
Can I
Grays.
say this? I never knew Josh Gibson played for the Braves. Yeah.
A lot of the players that played for the Grays
Didn't
also
know much
played
about
for the
baseball.
Crawfords, and they'd play an afternoon game with the Crawfords and early afternoon game with the Crawfords and play an evening game with the Grays. But the Hall of Famers that are in the baseball, this is the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Cool Papa Bell,
Yeah.
Ray Brown, probably one of the greatest players from the Negro Leagues, Oscar Charleston.
Never heard of him.
Martin DeHingo, Bill Foster, Josh Gibson, Judy Johnson, Buck Leonard, Cum Posey, who was the founder and the owner, Willie Wells, Smokey Joe Williams, and Judd Wilson.
I never knew Buck Leonard was a home run hitter like that.
Well,
Until you said it. Till you read that.
yeah.
You missed that in that Negro.
Yeah.
Well, you know
Baseball
what,
book
Jim?
I
I
gave
printed this right off their Wikipedia page.
Thank you,
Enlighten
sir.
yourself. Also, to make to not let the other professional team of African American origin, the
Thank you.
Pittsburgh Crawfords. The Pittsburgh Crawfords were properly known as the Craws, were a professional Negro League baseball team based in Pittsburgh. The team was named after the Crawford Bathhouse, a recreation center in the Crawford neighborhood of Pittsburgh's Hill District.
Wow.
The Crawfords were owned by Gus Greenlee during the mid-30s. The Crawfords were one of the strongest Negro League teams ever assembled. As Richard Gilmore recounts in the history of the team, the Crawfords began as an interracial team of local Hill District youth who played ball together in neighborhood sandlots. As the Hill District teams became more competitive and professionalized, lines of color were drawn. The teams were formalized initially through the efforts of Bill Harris, originally of Calhoun, Alabama, and Teenie Harris. Teenie Harris is quite
Yeah.
famous for his accomplishments in Pittsburgh.
Photography.
Wow. I didn't know
Okay.
that.
Take a picture.
Who managed
one
teams
shot.
that emerged from local Hill schools. Bill played with a team which he later managed from McKelvey High School, while Teeny's team formed from the Watts School. Twice the teams faced off, resulting in a marginal win for Teeny's team in both games, prompting the two managers to join forces, creating a predominantly black team. Greenlee bought the team in 1931, stepping into an organizational vacuum as a major African American leagues of the 1920s. The Negro National League and the Eastern Colored League had fallen apart late that year. Greenlee signed many of the top African American stars, most notably Satchel Paige. The next year, 1932, saw Greenlee hire Hall of Famer Oscar Charleston as the playing manager and added Hall of Famers Josh Gibson, Judy Johnson, and Cool Papa Bell, along with other notables such as William Bell, Rap Dixon, Sam Bankhead, and Ted Radcliffe. This is the Crawfords played in the new Greenlee Field, one of the few parks built and owned by a Negro League team. Page and Gibson often unwound at the Crawford Grill, one of Pittsburgh's favorite night spots where the likes of Lena Horne and Bill Bojangles Robinson entertained.
Bojangles was there?
Yeah. In 1933, Greenlee found a new Negro National League. The Crawfords were charter members. The club narrowly lost the first half title to the Chicago American Giants. Pretty much they were the cream of the crop in the 30s. You know, ultimately what ended up happening is they ran into financial difficulty, and pretty soon players started defecting. In 1937, Satchel Paige led several Crawford players, including Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, Bankhead, to the Dominican Republic and to play for the dictator, Rafael Trujillo's team. The Crawfords plunged to fifth place out of 6 teams, and finishing in third, and with the exception of the 41-year-old Charleston, whose playing career was nearly over, the heart of the old Crawfords team had all moved on to other teams. Shortly thereafter, the team folded, and they moved to Toledo, becoming the Toledo Crawfords for the 1939 season. After the 1939 season, they moved to Indianapolis, becoming the Indianapolis Crawfords for the 1940 season before folding.
Left their mark in Havana.
So there is, well, the Dominican Republic is.
Oh, my fault. I thought Cuba.
Not Cuba. Okay.
Thanks for listening.
You know, but there is a rich history of baseball that dates back to 1887 in Pittsburgh with the Pittsburgh Alleghenies and the Pirates, but also the rich history of the Negro Leagues. Their foundation was here in the Hill District and in Homestead as well.
Study that, Smoking Jim.
Yeah, I heard that the black players taught the Dominican players a lot about baseball, and it took off in the Dominican Republic after that. I heard that a few colored people was around talking about it.
Colored people.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and you know what the thing that I admired so much when I talked last week about how Ted Williams brought to light the accomplishments of the players, is that these players were able to be elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and they really never even played very much in the major leagues. And their accomplishments for what they accomplished in the game of baseball and what they did for the game of baseball have not been lost.
How old was Satchel Paige? If he's playing in the early 30s in the Negro Leagues, and he's playing in the 50s in the major leagues.
And the one thing nobody could ever find was a copy of his birth certificate.
He left that in the Dominican Republic.
Never
and
had.
give that back.
You know, I would be willing to bet that even well into his 60s, Satchel Paige could probably make hitters, Major League Baseball hitters, in this era right now look foolish.
That's amazing.
Sure.
Amazing.
Definitely. No doubt. When I found out about him, which I did later on in life, just a great guy.
I'm going to get a book on Satchel.
Forget about it, man. I've read a couple, so thanks, Chip Painter. I
Great
appreciate
job,
that. On location with Al Levine. Last night we had a great show with great guests at Olive Oil's Pizzeria. $5 large hoagies, one topping, were flying out of the place. Hoagies were everywhere. People were coming in to order. They just did a great business. We had some great guests. We had Dan Asti of Asti Pharmacy and Mount Lebanon Boulevard come on because of Skip Atkins talking about how to prevent the flu or how to deal with flu situations. Very informative. It was nice having Dan on our show.
Give him a flu shot.
Smoking Jim listened to him. Every word. He was on at the edge of his seat. Followed none of it. But
yeah, he flunked the quiz at the end of the show.
That's part of it. I even had to mention the address again because Smoking Jim yelled in my ear so much. 250 Mount Lebanon Boulevard, Mount Lebanon Shops. It's down there. So great location, easy to find, even for Smoking Jim. Right off of 19, you just head on down to Mount Lebanon. Yeah, I'll take one of those. Thanks, buddy. Little break for gum. Thank you very much. Just had that pizza. Very good. We also had Billy Nardozzi talking about how he hated baseball, that he was a lefty. And I said, I always wish my son was a lefty. He goes, they picked me because I was a lefty. I go, lefty pitchers go to the major leagues, make millions, even if they're no good. He was afraid of the fastball. He cried every day. His mother went out and got him a guitar. He became a musician and played with his brother and could sing.
Became a poet laureate, right?
Yeah, he come up with a new poem for Smoking Jim and I. He bought us each, Smoking Jim's a non-drinker. He bought us bottles of champagne. We're the champagne of sports, he called us. So, thanks to Billy Nardozzi. Then a lady that I met, I was friends with her on Facebook because of Smoking Jim. He's been stealing people of mine, so I steal a few of his. And I met this Natalie Sugars. She's a model, an actress, a singer, can do it all. We had a nice little discussion about how she had a song for the Steelers, some black and gold song, how she did fashion shows with them. She's been in different areas. Jeffrey Park at Hollywood Lanes had her up there as Cleopatra, as Cher. She was singing. She had a gold mesh outfit. I can't even describe it, but I did get a photo or two with her at the event. Smoking Jim's famous for his remarks that he told me, I should have called Jeffrey Park back. He forgot. So we had Ted Marconja. Young Teddy was sick, couldn't make it, but Big Ted explained how Gold Medal Boxing is one of the better gyms around. It's right at the bottom of Maytide on Route 51, the old firehouse there. They build champions. They're even going to have Tika Hemingway turn pro. They got good things going on there. I met Ace Deuces, Carmen Peluso. Here I may know his dad because he had horses at the Meadows for years. So we talked about that. Then I had winning boxer Jerome Baxter come on the show. He's only been boxing 3 years. He's improved each time. Just a great performance for this young man. Yes, he does road work, Smoking Jim, unlike you. And he has a powerful punch. So we did have a fun night. Guess what? Next week, Hollywood Lanes, we're back for our return to Hollywood Lanes with the Pittsburgh Wildcats semi-pro football team. I got a heart transplant kid. I don't know what school he goes to, but he plays basketball. He had a heart transplant 1.5 years ago. Wow. You would never know it. So we got good things there. We got a Dormont resident, Joey Del Sardo, and the Del Sardo family is well known in Dormont. And they're related to the Gratkowski family. Young Bruce played for the Steelers. Big Bruce, I grew up with him and worked with him at the newspaper, so I'm friends with their family. Young Joey said he's going to try to get Uncle Brew to come on out. So Smoking Jim may hear some stories from Keystone Oaks. We will see. But we'll have a fun night. Olive Oil's Pizzeria was great, 7:30 to 8:30. We'll be at 7:30 to 8:30 at Hollywood Lanes next Monday, President's Day. So come on out for President's Day. You'll hear Smoking Jim talk about something. See you then. Hi, Bethel Park. Uncle Al speaking. I'm asking you to come help us behind the scenes at BP TV. We're looking for some proud Bethel Park residents to help us make the shows that you want to watch. For more information, contact Station Director Dave Cable, and we will see you behind the cameras at BP TV.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show. But in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Let's talk some Penguins. What a difference from 2017 to 2018. Amazing what the Penguins are doing. Second place. Let's not talk how tied up the Metro Division is. 6 points to go to last place or so. 4 points to get in the first place. It's quite the mix.
The Penguins are playing consistently better, night in and night out, and
it's nice watching them this year.
Well, I watched the game on Sunday, and as a matter of fact, they turned the game on, and I said, "Okay, Sid, I'm watching. Go ahead."
Bang!
And he scored his 400th goal.
Wow!
See, I had this thing going with it. You know what I mean? We had it going. But anyhow, the Penguins are playing really, really well. One of the things that really touched me, a story about the game, was last weekend was the Fathers Weekend, where the Penguins, the players' fathers, traveled with the team on a two-game road trip. They went to Dallas, they went to St. Louis, and the unfortunate thing is that here's Matt Murray, whose father had died less than 2 weeks prior to that. And one of the interesting things that happened when he was in Dallas is that the players and their fathers were going in, and as they got into the stadium, they were going off to the right. They had a room set up for them over on the right. Well, Matt Murray hung a sharp left, and he met with a Dallas Stars fan, his mother, and a young boy who's 6 years old who's terminally ill.
Wow.
They don't think he's going to make it to his 10th birthday. Well, he happens to be a huge Matt Murray fan. And so he went and he spent time with this young boy's mother and this young boy, and he signed a stick for him. And the kid, has to get around in a wheelchair, but their parents bought him the NHL ticket so that he could watch his two favorite teams, the Dallas Stars and the Penguins, and Matt Murray, and he took the time. And I can tell you this, if his father was looking down on him, I know he had to be smiling and be proud of the kind of man that his boy was. So that's a way you take from, instead of feeling sorry for yourself for your loss, you pay it forward. And I think that's something that should be mentioned.
Definitely, and they're starting to mesh as a team. They're playing better. The defense, the offense is doing well.
Murray's playing lights out again.
Yeah, he come on strong. Definitely, like he's been the first 2 years, and it's just a sight to see. I enjoy the hockey games. I picked three-peat, so I'm still staying three-peat, Chip.
Well, they're as strong as any team in the East, even though the East is a little on the weak side this year.
Yeah.
There's from top to bottom, I think like 5 or 6 points separate first and last place. But, you look at the irony. Last year, the Ottawa Senators, who the Penguins are playing tonight in the paint can, last year, the Ottawa Senators took the Penguins to 7 games and 2 overtimes in the conference finals.
Sure.
Okay, the Penguins had to beat them, and a lucky bounce in either one of the overtimes could have ended the Penguins' season. And Ottawa gave them everything that they had. Now this year, they're the second worst team in the Eastern Conference. The only team that's worse is the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
So just funny how things turn. You look at you say, are the Penguins really playing that not as well as they played last year, or is it that everybody else stepped up their game to match what the Penguins are doing? So we were talking about that a minute ago. Jim was mentioning that Penguins get everybody's best game every night. They don't ever get a night off.
Yeah, that they do, and the Penguins weren't playing that well together because they had so many changes that struck, after their core players.
Yes.
They got rid of so many good players that these guys had to adjust to the Sullivan style of coaching, which is pretty good, and the play on the ice, to play the game the right way, as he always says.
Yeah, man, they seem to be getting the message, and it looks like they're making a strong run for the playoffs. Now all we have to do is keep our fingers crossed and hope that the injury bug doesn't bite them.
Well, it's interesting that you see certain teams, and the Penguins are this type of team, they have a switch. They turned it on. Because there's a huge difference between the end of 2017 to the beginning of 2018 and what they've done as a team. They turned that switch on, and the energy level, they're not tired, and they're playing a heck of a game.
A lot of players that they lost from last year's team, which they could not keep because of the salary cap, okay, were very integral parts of their championship team.
Yeah.
And they had to learn how to, everybody's roles got shuffled around. Okay,
Sure.
they had accepted roles for 2 years. Now that's all changed, and it took them a while to mesh. And it seems like they're getting it together.
It does. It really has made a difference. And I know the points aren't that far apart between the Metro Division, but they look pretty good this year.
The stars are starting to play like stars. Evgeny Malkin has stepped up, and Sid Crosby is still,
Sid Crosby.
the best, if not one of the best in the league. But, one of the things that's going on right now, which there seems to be a sore spot with a lot of the athletes, is the Olympics starting this week. And none of the NHL players are able to play for their country. And last night, somebody was interviewing Alex Ovechkin.
Sure.
And his comment was, and they asked him, they said, do you wish you were over in Pyeongchang playing for the Russian team? He goes, yes, I do. And then he said, thanks, Bettman, very kind of snidely. So, the players wish they could be playing, but I understand why the league doesn't want to
Sure.
shut down
In the middle.
in the middle of a stretch run. You got a team that's hot, and then you take 2-3 weeks off to play in the Olympic tournament. You lose your continuity.
Well, they do that for the All-Star game. Just eliminate the All-Star week when it's Olympic time. There's
That's
ways
only one
around
week.
it.
They
Well,
need
the
two.
NHL,
Come on.
the NHL has really not done anything to try to market itself and open itself up to a wider audience. The NFL has expanded into international markets, the NBA, China, and across Europe and everything like that. And even Major League Baseball's played worldwide. But you know what? The NHL just doesn't want to do anything to advance its game.
Well, they can't get ESPN to carry their games.
Well, they could get they could get a big television
They'll carry
contract. They
anybody's
could
game.
create interest. You can create interest. Olympic hockey's a little bit different than the NHL rinks, because in Olympic hockey, the ice surface is much bigger. Okay.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that you can do in the NHL that you can't do in international hockey. So what is really a valuable asset in international hockey is speed and skills. Okay, now when you're playing in a smaller rink, the bigger guys, the stronger guys, the physicality of the game. But I do enjoy watching the Olympic version of the sport. But one of the things that I think ruined some of the Olympic sports, and this is just not in the Winter Olympics, but Summer Olympics as well, is having the professionals play. I mean, I thought one of the greatest moments in sports history was when a group of American college players, who none of them were professionals, beat the Russians in 1980 in the Miracle on Ice.
Yeah.
That was such an amazing moment.
It was never going to happen again.
Hey, you know what? People said it was never going to happen ever, but guess what?
They
It
were
did.
wrong, Smoking
It
Jim.
did.
Well, I think I can be an Olympic guy, because every time I turn on the Olympics, somebody's throwing something down the ice and they're shuffling.
Curling.
Is that what I'm like? Is it on there 24/7, man? Every time I turn it on.
I was still watching some of the Olympics on Sunday night, and I watched the men's figure skating, okay? And I watched an American young man, and he performed his routine flawlessly. Didn't fall, didn't have a demerit, nothing. I watched two guys skate before him, a Russian and a Canadian. And they both fell multiple times, and they got higher scores than the American did. I was sitting there saying to my significant other,
The Russian fixed the vote.
I said,
Yeah, he had a 10
now
going in.
maybe I don't understand the sport. Maybe I don't understand what they're looking for when they're scoring. But I'm thinking if somebody falls twice in their routine, that has got to be a lower score than somebody that performed flawlessly.
Well, an American skater, I don't know much about skating, but she did a triple access,
A triple axel, triple axel.
axel, which is rare.
It was the very first American woman to do it.
And she didn't have the top score or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how did that happen?
Like I said, I don't, I only pay attention to it once every 4 years, and then even just only half-heartedly. And so
Is there any
like,
boxing in the Winter Olympics?
no.
No.
No, I ain't going to watch that.
You just told me you're watching curling.
Yeah, every time I turn it on, I'm turning on for
Hey,
boxing.
he's hoping somebody picks up one of them brooms and cracks the other person over the head with it, you know?
And give them time. Give them time. They will do that. No doubt.
I will tell you one thing. Back in 1980, shortly after the Olympics were in Lake Placid, my father grew up in a small town not far from Lake Placid.
Really?
So we went up to the Olympic Village, and of course it was empty and everything. And we got a tour of everything, and where they had the downhill ski racing and where they had the ski jumps was on the top of Whiteface Mountain. So we took
Whiteface smoking Jim.
So we took an elevator up to the top of the 90-meter ski jump.
Wow.
Okay. Now this is on this is one of the tallest peaks in northeastern America.
Sure.
And then you've got a 90-meter ski lift. We took it up there, and I went up there, and I was like, wow. We were really far up there, and I got to tell you something. Those guys that do the ski jump, they have completely and utterly lost their minds. There's not a chance.
It's on my bucket list.
Oh, yeah?
Get the heck out of here.
Shoot. I'll tell you what. I'll bet every penny I can earn in the rest of my life that you wouldn't even get close to the elevator.
He wouldn't climb up it.
You wouldn't even get close to the elevator. You'd be shaking. You'd be shaking like a bag of bones, man.
Hey, I saw him on a horse. Guess what? He might try it, but he didn't breathe.
Yeah, what Jim said that this hind end was not meant to be that far up off the ground.
Wow.
That's it, man.
There you have it, a little tip on Olympics there. You want to bring any Bucko talk up, Chip?
Well, there's a lot of animosity towards the Pittsburgh Pirates, obviously because the Pirates
Who they got rid of.
traded Andrew McCutchen, and also because of the departure of Garrett Cole. And with the dynamics of the way Major League Baseball is, I understand why the Pirates got rid of him. Now, the trading of Cole did not bother me nearly as much as the departure of Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen was the face of the franchise for the last 9 years, and he was everything that you could want a professional athlete to be.
And he
was
class.
a great role model. He was a great teammate. He was great with children. He was great in the community. I mean, there was just, nobody could say anything negative about him. And I wish him the best and continued success. I'm never going to have anything negative to say about Andrew. And when Andrew comes back on May the 12th with the San Francisco Giants, I will be one of those people that are down there standing up and paying him his respects, because I think he was a great asset to this team. Unfortunately, with the way that the economics of Major League Baseball was, the Pirates had to get something for him while he was still had some value, because it just it wasn't going to work out to try to attempt to re-sign him. I wish they would have,
What they
but
get
they
for
didn't. They've got okay. What did they get for Andrew? Andrew, they got an outfield prospect from the San Francisco Giants, and they picked up an arm for the bullpen, I believe. And when they traded Garrett Cole, what they got for Cole is what they feel will be their starting third baseman. His last name is Moran. And they also picked up somebody that they have penciled in as a number 5 starter. His name's Musgrove. And from what I understand, he's got a big right arm.
Yeah.
And he's pitched as a starting pitcher. He's pitched out of the bullpen. But you know what?
Time will tell.
Time will tell. We'll see how these players produce. Though I know the one kid that they picked up from McCutchen, he moved very rapidly from single A up to a double A last year, and they said that this guy just absolutely rakes. And what they mean by when they say that, in every level that he has performed at, this guy just absolutely hits the cover off the ball.
Wow.
So
When's Harrison getting out of here?
I don't know who he is. I
Might
don't
still
know that
have
he is. The Pirates still have a core of a good team. I think with Starling Marte as your starting center fielder, I expect a bounce back season from him this year. Gregory Polanco was a huge disappointment last year. And what he did the previous winter was he worked on bulking up, and he lifted a lot of weights. And subsequently, he didn't have the flexibility that he had in the past, and he spent most of the year injured and recovering from injuries. So he went back to his roots. I was reading an article about him in Sunday's paper. He went back to his roots, and he went back to train with the guy that he had trained with for years. And they're working on his speed and his agility and his flexibility, strengthen his hamstrings. Mm-hmm. And the pictures that they had of him in the Post-Gazette this past weekend, Gregory Polanco has been working hard. Mm-hmm. I expect to see an improvement out of him. Left field, big question mark right there. There's probably 4 people that are vying for a position. One of them could be Austin Meadows. Jordan Luplo's another one. Sean Rodriguez. They picked up.
What about Frazier?
Adam Frazier, they're looking at him as second fielder, as a second baseman, because he did very well there. Josh Harrison will probably play second. You've got Jordy Mercer, a solid shortstop.
Yeah.
I mean, he's you're not going to lose a lot of games because Jordy Mercer's your shortstop. Josh Bell, he had a very good first year last year. Let's hope that he can build on it. Question mark would be Francisco Cervelli. Can he stay healthy for the season? Actually, I think the catcher that's going to be more of an impact this year is Elias Diaz. Elias Diaz made it to training camp on time, even though his mother had been kidnapped in Venezuela. And they happened to rescue her.
Yeah.
They rescued her on Saturday, so she's home and she's safe. And, he was very concerned. I mean, in Venezuela, if I was him, I'd be like, okay, Mom, you're getting out of Venezuela. You're coming to the United States. I'm putting you in a house somewhere.
It's just as bad here.
Well, I mean, it's very, very.
Where?
No,
she
things
can live
are in
with
a bad
you.
way in Venezuela. So, but I mean, there were some definite things to look forward to.
Under 500 team against South Lake.
The thing that intrigues me the most about this team is the young pitching staff. Now, I just want to, and I'll break this real quick because we're getting close to the end of the show. Last year, I saw the game when Rich Hill for the Los Angeles Dodgers pitched a perfect game for almost 9 innings before an error in the bottom of the ninth broke up his perfect game. Well, that night, Trevor Williams was pitching against him. And, so Rich Hill was putting up zeros. He pitched a perfect game. 3 up, 3 down every inning. But Trevor Williams, in every inning of that game, got at least 2 runners on base, and he matched him 0 for 0 all the way through 9 innings. So what he did was he had to really pitch, and he battled, and he showed me that this kid is a major league pitcher. Chad Cole, I think, is going to be a true ass-foot.
Yeah.
And, so I think, the Pirates are going to be better than people think. But that's
Vegas got it right.
And don't forget Tyon.
We're all entitled to our opinions.
Smoking Jim, we appreciate you going to the negative side on baseball because you're an NFL scout, Steeler scout, model scout, well, whatever you are. But no, hey, folks, thanks for watching our show. We appreciate it. Glad we could be entertaining to you. And thanks to Devin Shea, Dave Cable for putting on the show. We appreciate you guys in the community of Bethel Park. I'm Al Levine signing off here. It's been a pleasure. Got Chip Hayner with me, Smoking Jim Frazier. And we want to wish you a happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. Get your sweetie something and stay Joey strong.